All right.
Peace, peace, one, two, three, and the place to be. I'm your host, Adam Mill. To right enough of me is.
Shit called the governor.
Juan Bizzle.
All right, let's talk about the subject. Jumbo one. Couldn't make it this weekend. Um, he'd be on the show next week, and we're probably from there. All right, this topic was an old topic, but very few want to talk about it. Notice on a lot of social media platforms, YouTube or whatever. There's a lot of distractions. I mean, we also involved in the distractions, you know. It's entertainment, you know, that's how you get views, but a lot of serious issues people doesn't like to talk about, especially in the black community. Um, or it doesn't get light. Let's say that. It doesn't get a lot of light, you know what I'm saying? So hopefully we all will learn from this, and the listeners, they will learn from this as well. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, leave a comment. We're trying to get up to 1K views so we can elevate this mission and movement. Okay. And shout out to our 4 new subscribers. Sorry we couldn't give you, shout you out by your name because I don't have, but you know who you are, and we appreciate the subscriptions. Um, yes, the history of white slave owners that were women. For what we understood, that the white slave owner, the females was worse than the men, and we also know that to own slaves was like in America is to have like status. The more slaves you got, the more status you have. Sort of like in different cultures when it comes down to like camels, horses, and sheep, or whatever the case may be. Um, defines how it's a stature, how rich you are, right? In this country, we know that we were treated like cattle. And here's a new shocker: we still not considered a full human being. Due to constitutional rights, we're still not considered full human beings. And anytime you're not considered a full human being, you get what you call it
Different treatment.
yeah, dehumanized. You know what I'm saying? They don't treat you like humans. They treat you like cattle. Like the same thing going on in Palestine and a lot of places in the world where there's genocide and the bullies want to pick on people because they don't consider them human beings. I'm gonna play a quick clip. Shout out to Black History Archives. You can check them out on YouTube. That's where I got the clip from. I always try to now mention the source that I got it from, copyright reasons and just respect. You know what I'm saying? So go check them out. Here it is.
Seeing mixed race children among the
You
black
got here?
slave children,
Yep.
white women felt confused. They knew that the children of the black male and female slaves they owned had to be black. However, who were those mixed race children that were a bit fair in complexion? That's when they came to know about the sexual relationships their white husbands had engaged in with black female slaves. Using threat and fear, their white husbands would use black women slaves as properties they could do anything with. Yet they did not know that their white wives were thinking of doing the same to punish their husbands. Because white women owned slaves, mostly of whom were black men, they thought about something nasty. So what horrific and nasty acts would white women engage in that embarrass white men to this day? Let's know about that in this video. The Black History Archives. Interestingly, you would find few accounts detailing white women in slavery. That's because this has been intentionally done to avoid the embarrassment that haunts white men to this day. White women actively participated in the slave economy rather than merely observing from the sidelines. They were involved in buying, selling, and owning slaves, with around 40% of slave owners being white women. The more slaves a woman owned, the more influence and authority she wielded. Therefore, often, parents passed down more slaves than land to their daughters, linking slave ownership closely with the identity of white Southern women. That's because after marriage, land would go to their husbands, but slaves were often kept by the women. Before the Civil War, American white women faced considerable restrictions on their freedoms. Denied the right to vote, they were effectively absorbed into their husband's authority upon marriage, essentially becoming their husband's property. Their
I'm gonna
mobility
fast
and
forward it a
freedom
little
was
bit.
severely
Mm-hmm.
slaves. During the 19th century, there was a prevalent misconception regarding white women, painting them as delicate and sheltered individuals confined to the home, shielded from the harsh realities of the world outside. However, historical evidence from diverse sources denies this notion, revealing the active involvement of white women in the slave markets of that era. Despite the prevalence of slavery, women took part in buying and selling black slaves, often arranging transactions within their local social circles from the comfort of their own homes. Due to their significant influence, white women played a crucial role in shaping a distinct market for enslaved wet nurses. Some felt compelled to separate black women from their families to care for their own children. Reports suggest that one.
Very deep. Again, this Black History Archives. You can find them on YouTube. Black History Archives. Shout out to you guys for bringing the dark truth to light. Um, it goes deeper than that. It gets to like sexual exploitation, sexual fetishes. Um, I have a lot to say, but who wants to go first with this? Real quick, I just realized too, if you look at the entertainment world, boxing, um, music, let's see, even down to like movies and sexual exploitations will come down to porn or whatever the case may be. If you look at the highest stats of what people watch is dealing with black folk, right? And during slavery, they had, um, you know, again, they looked at us as cattle, not human beings. They had plantations just for fighters, like boxing and stuff like that, UFC type of style, right? No gloves, right? They made money off of us, exploited us. They still doing that now with boxing. Only thing is they paying people a couple million, and but they triple that money. You know what I'm saying? You may get like Tank Davis, shout out to him from B More. He may get like 5 million for the fight, but the people who was behind it,
They
the
get
white folk, they getting 500 million, 700 million, close to a billion. You know what I'm saying? When you look at the sex industry, again, black people looked at as the highest commodity. Uh, you know, the girl who did the movie, she probably get like $1,000, or depending now, $5,000 to $10,000 for a scene that's going to degrade herself until the day she died, and her grandkids, if she have kids, but her family's going to look at it. But they'd have made millions off of her. So the same thing they was doing back in slavery, they doing now. It's
yeah.
just throwing a little bit of change their way and say, you know what I'm saying? It's the same pattern. It's just in a different form. So I'm gonna let you go first, Gov. I'm gonna put you on the spot. Knowing the history that we focus on the white women now,
Mm,
the fetishes, how to use and abuse the black man, the black slave,
yeah.
um, and how they separated him from his family, his wives and his kids, right? And if she was to have children, that was a penalty on him. He probably get hung and he probably die. But they had the baby in the house. Do you is it I'm gonna hit you with a hard question. Should we date or marry white women knowing the history and knowing that the history has been passed down and some of that stuff is in their blood? Is it recommended to be with a white woman, especially what's in the media today?
Be the media or whatever. Oh, that always, well, I remember, say, as a teenager, when you coming up, I remember that was my original preference. Like I used to like them like that. Somewhat. Not the main preference, because I was between light skin and white. That was my main.
If it ain't snowing, you ain't going, right?
I wasn't quite there, but I was mainly on light skin. I wasn't quite there, but I was on light skin for sure. But then that switched. That switched where I was just mainly on dark skin. So that's pretty much been it ever since. But anyway, to this kind of speaks to that whole, it's like the overall, the underlying attitude that you tend to run across a lot of times, where they act like it's almost like they are your caretakers in ways. You ever be out in public and they act like they gotta lead you to the right place? Oh, you must be in the wrong location. Let me show you where you need to be. So it's almost like that type of deal you always notice. And it's like thinking about this whole subject, and I was looking at the way a lot of the way the plays, it reminded me of the workplace. You know, like sometimes people try to curry this favor. Say the supervisor, they gonna curry favor with her. She gonna get him a favor. So then that way now he figure he gonna put the whoop to the fellow coworkers. Like, yeah, John, he don't be doing his work like that. So y'all need to make sure y'all write him up. He'll be one of them types. So it's kind of like they foster that attitude. And another one that also reminds me of is this whole Karen thing. It's like the modern day Karens, that's what they would be then. You know what I mean? They would have been
Yeah.
the same ones that would have had them like, oh yeah, well we noticed it. You didn't know. So they the ones that's gonna bother you for every little thing. You're not supposed to be here. You're not supposed to do this. You're not supposed to say that. That's what that whole thing is. But when you look at the way that this thing works with the manipulation aspect of it, that's the biggest problem. That I would say like I felt say my son about to get into he about 5, 6 now. But say 10 years from now, or even less than that, say 8,
Mhm.
the girl's starting to come around, I would be advising him to that not to be his first choice. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
know he probably gonna want to do what he want to do, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna try to tell him, look, man, you don't understand. Sometimes that's a game. Like they may appear to be very nice at first. To
Hmm.
me, that is a ploy. You know what I mean? That's just the whole. I'm just gonna reel you in. This is my opinion because I know people that had the exact opposite. They're like, no, it's not a ploy. They're really nice, but I don't believe it. But anyway,
Hmm.
but I don't know. I just don't get that. But to me, I don't know. If you don't have somebody that can share the same background, that can understand what you're really going through, because there's bad days that you got to fight through in life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got to fight through some bad days. You got to fight through the fact that everybody outside the house doesn't believe in you. You know what I mean? They might tell you that you garbage. So you got to come home to somebody.
Your own family, man.
Right, right. So you got to think about that. And here's another aspect to think about too. She might be good, but what about her peoples? What about her family? Her parents and the rest of them. How is their support aspect of it? Are they telling her, told you could have done better? You should have hollered at Ian, but instead you had to go get your own. Now,
Yeah.
so that's the thing you got to fight with.
Not only that, bro, it's like I don't let you cook cornbread. It's like an innate thing. Like I said, love who you love, right? But I'm always with the opinion, right, that you should stick with your culture first. The women who understand you. No one understands you more than your mother and your sisters, right? And you want a reflection of that. You know what I'm saying? You want to go outside the box. I don't care if white, Indian, Arab, Asian. You don't want to go outside that box, right? And but we're going to focus on historical, uh, dark side. We're going to deal with the white women, right? Now, she may be genuine. She may be, stand up, bottom broad, bottom female. You know what I'm saying? Down, but they do things that innately that they probably don't even know what they say because they don't know your culture. They don't know your full struggle. Even the ones that came up with us, from, in our case, South Baltimore, whatever the case may be, the poor white trash, even they know their boundaries and limitations. You get what I'm saying? Like, you don't use the N word. I don't care how cool you are. You shouldn't make light of certain, like, let's say you would have, you were a white woman, right? And black guy that's died on the news from the
Oh
hand of
yeah,
the police.
yeah.
She may be understandable, but she's not going to take it to heart like you do, or a black woman take it to heart. She may say something that she really genuinely, you know, is not trying to, directly be an a-hole. She may say something that's insensitive, and you're like, oh, you know what I'm saying? And then you got to realize something too, like, what if you raise children in that? How do you decipher that history?
There's a confusion that
It's
happens.
confusion. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, love who you love, but to cut through the yellow tape, and that's my opinion, to not struggle with that that tug of war and that war in the relationship. And like you said, you don't know their intention. We don't know certain things that's passed down from her ancestors could be still running through her blood.
That's a possibility. And then at the same time, you think about a lot of the kids of such a thing like that.
Yeah.
Um, Like say if that was my wife, if my wife was white, my I could have my feelings about what I think about what her family is doing and what they say about me. But as far as they're concerned, that's their mom. You know what I mean? You talking about my mom.
Yeah.
So, yeah, as much as you want to say, oh, I can't stand this white this and white that, that's my mom. That's what they saying. So that's another split that you got to think about long term. See, it's one thing, it's all fun early on. That early stage, you meet somebody and y'all talking about y'all want to go further and then you eventually get married and all that. That's all a good fun time. You know what I mean? But unless if you actually plan and actually got like a solid, this is my mindset, this her mindset. A lot of times that's not what happens. Everybody getting caught up in the feelings and the emotions, and we just gonna do what we got to do because everybody got the pressures, the social pressures that come with that. And I think a lot of time when it come down to it, then behind closed doors, it's just the two of y'all, and y'all don't even know each other or what y'all believe in or none of that. And then when y'all
Exactly.
dealing with real life issues, you don't even know which frame to come from. So now she want, or like it's funny because you see that happen a lot of times. Like even like say mixed religion sometimes they don't sit down to decide how they gonna handle that, right?
Exactly.
So then now the baby is born. She want to take him to go get christened. He want to say no, we ain't gonna do that. We
Gonna take give his shahada. You
that's
know
what.
what I'm saying?
So then when you fighting that fight,
Yeah.
now the families done got into it. You can't do that. You can't do that.
Yep.
Everybody in turmoil.
That's even in the Bible say even yoke, man. That plays a big role, and it's not the fact that that you come from a racist. Like I said, black people can't be racist, but it's not the fact that you're coming from a racist standpoint. It's just that you're trying to play it safe. I don't think that the two histories. I think that every nation has their history with black people,
Right.
good or bad, right? But it's something about their history and our history. They should be the last pick of the litter. It's just too much dark history with blacks and whites. You know what I'm saying? And this country is not moving forward with it, it's moving backwards. So, to interracial date or marry today in this country, in this day and age, or in the West, is very, 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 you rolling the dice. And we just hit the surface. You know what I'm saying?
I would say forget the whole ancestors thing. Let's start with the great grandmas, the great gramps, the grandpas, the grandmas right now. I've literally 2023. I'll tell you guys a little story. I had a little online fling, right? Nothing too serious. Um was a white girl, right? She was in college. Cool. Would buy stuff for me and everything like that. It was, I was, oh, dang, you know what I mean? She's buying stuff for me, treat me good. I've never been treated like this before, you know what I mean? Um, we had a good bond going on. Her mother liked me. Her stepbrother liked me. And the funny part about the story too, her stepbrother was light skinned, right? They were in Ohio. At this time, we was in Maryland. They was planning to come down and visit us. My father got wind of this and was like, "Nah, you not dating him, nah. You know what I mean? You not gonna talk to him. Matter of fact, if you continue to talk to him, I will step on your phone. I will break your phone myself,
Mhm.
right?" And I used to ask her, I'm like, okay, the man will walk past the camera. I'll say, "What's up?" He would just ignore me and he would do anything in his power to not talk to me, even if I put my foot forward. You know what I mean? So I said, why is this man so weird to me, right? And she was out. She just told me, she was like, yeah, he's a little, I don't want to say, but he's a little racist, right? Which confused me because there's a picture of him with a bunch of black friends.
Yeah.
She literally says that he has a bunch of black friends that he goes to the bar with, but he will refuse. He does not want her to marry or date a black man.
Right.
But you have a son that's light skinned. I don't get it.
Hmm.
You married a black woman before. I don't get it, right? So I feel like the racism has never left, is never left. It will never probably leave, especially in this country. It's deeper, is way deeper than what we all think is in someone's daughters. For example, right? I don't know if you guys had history of having white friends or associates, coworkers.
Mhm.
Make them mad enough and see their true side. You see some of them even online, some of them will come out with slurs, especially Twitter. Don't even get me started with Twitter. Twitter will make you think we still back 400 years ago. Don't even get me started with Twitter.
It's funny.
He,
Yeah, it's funny you
he,
say that because I remember a
yeah,
coworker. She went to go see the Indy 500, Indianapolis
huh?
500 up in Indiana,
Yeah.
and she didn't pick up on it until she heard it a few different times. Here's what they were calling them, like she was there with her family members,
Hmm.
and they were saying, "Oh, we got some Americans in here. Oh, there goes some Americans." That's how they were just saying it that way. So that way, you know what I mean? It was coded.
Mm.
So after a while, she's like, Americans, wait a minute. African American. Oh, that's how she put it together.
Mm.
So it's one of them type of things where they were like, y'all not supposed to be at this event. This is the Indy 500. This is NASCAR. This not supposed to, y'all not supposed to be here. So, like you say, there's still, and it's funny that people are very hypocritical with it because on the one hand, they'll be with the pictures like, hey guys, let's smile for the pictures. They do that on the one hand.
Yep.
On the other hand, they be like, yeah. And the crazy thing is even deeper than that. I remember growing up, it was a black guy I knew. And I remember his daughter's around my age. And he
Hmm.
was telling my dad about the fact that he doesn't want black guys to date his daughter.
That's the flip. Shh, that's the flip of it.
Right.
That's the flip of it.
It's crazy. No, but I wanted to say
Hmm.
to bounce off your point with hip hop, with sports, with any form of entertainment, even recently, Marvel and DC. Look online. Look how they play. Look how they hide their racism. Oh, you know what I mean? Even for the most simplest of characters, right? I'm not saying every character like Superman or anything like that, right? It doesn't matter if you justify it in the comics. It doesn't matter if this character was black in the past. You see these people try their best to be like, oh, this character is not supposed to be black. Oh, a black princess? Why?
Right, right.
Or they'd be like, oh, it's so woke that you're making this black. You're making this black. You said nothing about Eminem. You said nothing about Ice Ice Baby, Mr. Vanilla Ice.
Mhm.
You said nothing about those other rappers that came into the genre. Oh, no, you cheered them on.
Right.
But before they came into the genre, it was all, nah, rap is not good for the kids. Rap is violent. You know what I mean?
That's
But if they're involved into it, then it's okay. You know what I mean?
yep.
So it's way deeper than what we expect. It's even in some of Gen Z. It's very deep. So I will feel like, personally, if I had a son, I wouldn't want him to go marry a white woman at first, not just based off their trauma, but I would have to really observe her and have him to observe her and really see if she's good for him, not just because of what they put on the poker face, the family,
Hmm.
who they hang around.
Right.
Because I'm gonna tell you one about the situation because I don't know we got a short amount of time. I want adamant it was speak when that situation happened. He was going through it. Guess whose side she took?
They had
The
to go.
father's side
Yes, he had to go to family. Yep.
all the time. It left me like a bad habit.
Yep.
Well, I mean, give us some grace. First um guy that the woman looked towards as that was going to be a father. So it could have been a black woman. She would have took her father's
That's
side
right.
to a degree.
Oh,
I think like again, improvise. Can't stress this enough. Love who you love, but please do your due diligence, do your research, look at their family history, because you may have children by this individual, and you don't want none of that blood or none of that stuff sinking into your kids. And I think this is the taboo that people don't want to talk about. You get what I'm saying? And like you said, to piggyback on what you said with the black guy, you know, he don't want his daughter to date a black man. I would have said for what reason?
Right.
Is it based on my character? Or is it based on a stereotype? You get what I'm saying? Because Now that's a whole different sickness. You know what I'm saying? You know, I would like to. What was his wife? Was his wife white or something like that?
Black. They was a black family. That's what shocked me about the whole thing.
Yeah,
That surprised me when I heard that. And I was like, both of y'all, wow.
yeah. He got the Shannon Sharp
Yeah.
syndrome. You know
But
what I'm saying?
it was all based on the stereotypes though. That
Yes,
that they
self hate stereotype, not based on your character.
mm.
I think it's a little deeper when I want to stay focused on the white woman.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think it's more deeper when it comes down to the opposite race in the history of black and white women in general.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I think it's more than you want to look at dating somebody or marrying somebody based on the merits of their what's the word I'm looking for? On the merits of their character.
Character, yeah.
But again, you got to do your research, man, because some things that she could be in the blind about that she doesn't know that she's a harming and offending, and certain things she knows damn well what she's doing. You
Right.
get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So my thing is, people, do your due diligence. And we're gonna stick with the white race because we have a long, outstanding, dark history with them. This go for any outside your race situation. Do the history, do the due diligence, how their parents think about you, how they feel about
Mhm.
your race. You know what I'm saying? Um, and then take it from there. You get what I'm saying? I'm not saying that she got to walk on water, but you really got to really examine what you're getting into. You get
Right.
what I'm saying? And saying all that, in a nutshell, I prefer again love who you love, but it's just easy if you just marry somebody from your own culture, man. That kills a lot of yellow tape. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
That kills a lot of yellow tape. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that as a society that we have grown strong enough mentally and emotionally to marry or date outside our race because there's always some foolishness that goes behind it. Like you said, outside of that walls, you have your family.
Mhm.
You know, I'm sure the Bible says the same thing. Quran says that I made you different so you may learn from one another.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And it takes years and years and years and years to learn someone from the opposite. And I think when people just fall in lust and the honeymoon, they forget the technical things that's behind that that you must learn from this individual.
Mm.
In this case, the white woman. I think as black men, we think with our Johnson, pause, and we just see a snow bunny with a bubble behind, and we just want to jump. Oh no, white girl, blonde hair with a bubble butt, and let me jump on it. I get through the technical things later on and kind of find out that whatever illness that both of y'all had towards each other race, you done left worse. I think, oh, I hate him more. She hates you more, and I'm talking about your race, you know. But I'm
Right.
gonna let you have the last say, Gov, and then we're gonna salute on out, man.
Crazy though. That's wild. A lot of it comes down to you got to know yourself. You got to know them. You also got to know who you're dealing with as well. But when you think about the history of things and the way that things have been, the one thing that always has to remain, you got to remain sure that you got to keep the truth as far as what you got going on. Basically, you can't just it's easy to make these emotional decisions, but you got to take the emotions out of it sometimes. You have to do that in order to actually be rational with it. Because long term, you got children that could possibly play into it, your money, your own life. You know what I mean? All these things play into it because she might be good with you today, but how you know it's not a setup tomorrow? You know what I mean? So that's the thing that a lot of people do not take into account is what happens tomorrow. They just think about today and right now.
That's facts, facts. And let's look at the history of interracial dating white women with black men on a celebrity tip. How they get taken off for so much money. And when they date or marry a sister, it's either less money, which is racist within itself, due to the court system, because black women is not as valued as white women. Or, the sisters, they understand again the struggle, so they're not gonna hit the man for everything. But I think that's starting to change now, because now the sisters are starting to go and hit the black man up for a lot of money.
And vice
Um,
versa too. It's switching up because with way the jobs have been working, a lot of the sisters get the job, so the guys
oh
don't.
yeah,
So
we,
they
we,
did.
we know the history behind that though.
Well, you know it. You know.
You know, we know history behind that. Um, like I say, man, shout out to the white people that doesn't have that harvest in their heart, or they're fighting against that element and trying to be, look at people as human beings, and hopefully they can. It's your responsibility, white people, to tell the people within your race, like, look, you gotta look at each other as human beings, and like I said, love who you love, but don't bring no stereotype elements in it. That's when I have a problem with it. You know what I'm saying? Where can they find you at, Cuz?
Catch me at Governor Mansion on Instagram, GUVNAMANSION.
Share.